Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a force so absolutely foundational that, well, we usually just forget it's even there: electricity. But instead of just looking at the plug in the wall, we're going to explore how humanity took this wild, completely untamed force of nature and somehow civilized it to build our entire modern world. It is literally an incredible journey.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to seriously try a thought experiment with me. What if, right at this very second, you could just wipe out all the electricity in the world? Just snap your fingers and boom, it's gone. We're not talking about a quick neighborhood power outage here. We're talking about a permanent, totally dramatic blackout where the very concept of electricity completely vanishes. I really want you to put yourself in that high-stakes scenario for a second, just to truly grasp the gravity of what we're talking about today.
I mean, if that blackout actually happened, imagine waking up tomorrow morning. That simple comfort of brushing your teeth with warm water, totally gone, no hot water for your morning routine. But it gets way darker than that, literally. Because when the sun sets, human life basically hits a permanent pause button. There's zero internet connecting us, there's no refrigeration to keep our food safe, and absolutely no electronic devices. It's like the source text beautifully points out. Today, electricity is basically oxygen for our civilization. We are completely surrounded by it, we literally rely on it to survive, and yet we don't even give it a second thought until it's suddenly gone.
Part 1. The Ancient Sparks.
To really appreciate what we have today, we actually need to rewind the clock about 2,500 years. Our story starts roughly 600 BC. This Greek philosopher named Thales noticed a really strange phenomenon. He found that if you took a piece of amber, which is just fossilized tree resin by the way, and you rubbed it with animal wool, it suddenly had this bizarre, mysterious power to attract lightweight stuff like feathers and dust. To them, it looked exactly like magic. And what's super cool here is the vocabulary. The ancient Greek word for amber? It's electron. That's right, the actual word electricity comes directly from this seemingly magical little parlor trick that completely baffled the ancient world. They had absolutely zero idea what this invisible force actually was.
And it wasn't just the Greeks either. At the exact same time over in ancient China, people were experimenting with these mysterious forces too. They were using magnetic stones alongside amber. But get this, they weren't trying to power machines. They were actually using them to try and heal illnesses. It's so fascinating because you have these different ancient cultures interacting with this incredibly immense force, but they're viewing it entirely through the lens of magic and medicine and mythology. At this point, electricity was still this profound, untouchable mystery, obviously a far cry from the reliable energy we just switch on today.
Part 2. Taming the Lightning.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive leap we eventually took. Jumping all the way from Thales in 600 BC to the 18th century, we meet Benjamin Franklin. You've probably heard of his daring, super famous kite experiment, right? Well, by flying a kite in a thunderstorm, Franklin scientifically proved something monumental: that the terrifying lightning crashing in the sky and the electricity scientists were quietly studying in labs, they were the exact same thing. This discovery was massive. It finally started to chip away at the public's deep-seated fear of electricity, proving it was just a natural phenomenon, not some literal wrath from the gods. But here's the catch. Even with Franklin's big discovery, electricity still wasn't something the average person could actually use. Think about the world at this stage. Before we tamed electricity, cities relied exclusively on candles and oil lanterns. I mean, they were dangerous, they were highly inefficient, and just as the source notes, human life literally halted at sunset. Whole cities were plunged into this heavy darkness, and as a direct result, crime absolutely flourished in the streets. So electricity was recognized as this massive power, but it was kind of like a dangerous monster trapped inside a laboratory. Everyone knew it existed, but absolutely no one knew how to unleash it safely.
Part 3. The War of Currents.
Now, what's really interesting about this next phase is how we finally got it out of the lab and into our living rooms. It all boiled down to a legendary, cutthroat technological battle between two literal geniuses, Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. Edison was pushing hard for direct current, or DC. He's the pioneer who gave us the incandescent light bulb and built the very first localized power stations. But then you have Tesla, who was fiercely championing alternating current, or AC. Tesla proved that AC power was a far superior system because it could travel vast distances incredibly efficiently. He paired that with his development of induction motors and long-distance transmission. It was this massive, historic clash of brilliant ideas over exactly how we were going to power the future.
And you know what? The result of that fierce competition was an ultimate victory for all of humanity. Because of this intense rivalry, electricity completely transformed.
It stopped being this dangerous scientific curiosity and finally became the foundational infrastructure of modern civilization. This was the exact turning point when we were finally freed from relying on candles. This was the moment reliable light was brought right into the home, fundamentally changing how we exist forever.
Part 4. Powering the digital age.
Flash forward to today, and our electricity ecosystem is just wonderfully diverse and highly advanced. We extract it straight from the sun and the wind, we store it in these incredibly sophisticated electric vehicle batteries, we even generate it by splitting atomic energy. But maybe most importantly for us right now, electricity is the completely invisible lifeblood of our data-driven internet. Every single piece of data, every website you visit, every video you stream, they all run on these massive servers that absolutely depend on a constant, unbroken flow of electricity to even function.
But despite all of those incredible, mind-bending technological marvels, our source provides a deeply sobering reality check. 50. A shocking 50% of the world still lacks access to electricity. Just think about that. Half of the entire global population is still essentially living in the dark, entirely cut off from the foundational infrastructure of our modern age.
That stark fact really outlines the intense modern stakes we're facing. Because the new battle for humanity isn't about discovering electricity anymore, it's about saving the planet while we produce it. We're facing massive hurdles, overcoming the harsh realities of climate change, expertly managing our very limited natural resources, and urgently figuring out how to make power cleaner, cheaper, and universally accessible. We have to make sure that other 50% of humanity can finally step into the light.
Part 5. The Silent Teacher.
Let's move to the big picture and see how this all builds. Because looking back at this evolution, we see a grand narrative arc that is truly something special. Step 1. Electricity started as something deeply feared, literally viewed as the wrath of the gods. Step 2. Through sheer human ingenuity, it was captured and harnessed into the glowing filament of the incandescent light bulb. Step 3. It expanded across entire continents to power the global internet. And finally, Step 4. It evolved to become the very brain of the modern computer, processing our entire digital world. It is without a doubt the ultimate story of human progress.
Our source material actually leaves us with this beautiful, profound thought. Electricity is the silent teacher of history. This invisible force taught us how to literally control time by turning night into day. It taught us how to share knowledge globally and how to use the raw laws of physics to completely transform our day-to-day lives. It shows us that the true value of a thing isn't in how it looks, since, electricity is entirely invisible, but in the massive impact it has on human progress. So the next time you casually flip a switch or plug in your phone, take a brief second to remember, you are summoning a force that carries the entire incredible history of human ingenuity. So what will we do with this invisible power next? Keep learning, keep questioning, and until our next explainer, take care.